At 49, Johnny Paycheck's son has largely stayed in the background, a quiet observer of a life lived under the glare of public legend. Rarely interviewed and almost never outspoken, he has watched the world celebrate his father's defiant persona without understanding the family story behind the music. For decades, he held his experiences close, silently carrying the scars left by a father who was both idolized and unpredictable. Now he is stepping into the light to share a story that is raw, emotional, and intimately his own, a truth that reframes the man behind the outlaw image. Two faces of a father. To the world, Johnny Paycheck was a rugged, snarling icon of rebellion, the voice behind "take this job and shove it." To his son, he was a man of extremes, capable of filling a room with laughter one moment and erupting in rage the next. Life on the road meant long nights in smoky buses, waking in motels across the country, and watching music always come first. Sometimes he would vanish for days, only to return with a guitar in one hand and a bottle in the other. Behind the legend was chaos few ever saw. Childhood in the crossfire. Growing up under Johnny Paycheck's shadow was not about fame or fortune. It was about survival. Birthday celebrations were often forgotten, promises broken before the day began. Arguments flared in the kitchen. Mornings brought the residue of nights spent chasing bottles and lost opportunities. The son never wanted the spotlight. He just wanted a father who showed up consistently, someone who could be both present and dependable. Instead, he lived with unpredictability, learning early that love and approval were fragile commodities. His world revolved around a man torn between fame, addiction, and the remnants of his own unresolved past. Moments of quiet beauty. Amid the turmoil, there were glimpses of tenderness. On quiet nights, Johnny would strum a guitar and sing for his son, offering a rare glimpse of vulnerability. In those moments, the outlaw mask fell away, revealing a man haunted by choices and chasing an unnameable redemption. It was in those private performances, when the world was absent, that the son glimpsed his father's humanity, a man capable of beauty as well as destruction. Those fleeting experiences left lasting impressions, shaping the son's understanding of love, imperfection, and the complexity behind the man's public persona. The weight of legacy. The trauma of growing up in such an environment left deep marks. Trust was fragile, anger simmered, and the years were filled with efforts to avoid repeating his father's mistakes. Yet there was also pride. Complicated, reluctant, but undeniable. His father was a legend, and that legacy, messy and painful as it was, became inseparable from his own identity. The son's story isn't about chasing fame. It's about navigating life in the shadow of a giant. Learning to step into the light meant confronting the duality of a man who could captivate millions on stage, yet remain broken behind closed doors. Chaos at home. As Johnny Paycheck's career slowed in the late 1980s and early 1990s, the instability at home intensified. His drinking worsened, his restlessness grew, and the silence that followed the end of shows became unbearable. The house, though quieter, felt heavier. Arguments became routine, apologies hollow, and the son struggled to understand why his father would choose bottles over family. Nights were spent pressing ears to walls, listening to the uncertain return of a father who could sometimes be cruel, sometimes distant, and often absent. The unpredictability of home life left emotional scars that lingered long into adulthood. Searching for connection. Despite the turbulence, the son longed for his father's approval. He tried to learn guitar, mimic his father's voice, and carve a space where connection might exist. Yet the attempts were met with warnings, dismissals, and admonitions that music would ruin him, as it had ruined his father. Financial strain added to the pressure. Bankruptcies, repossessed cars, and nights spent on the bare minimum underscored that fame offered no protection from hardship. From an early age, he realized that the public image of his father as an outlaw icon was only one layer of a far more complex, fragile man, living between legacy and resentment. Caught between legacy and resentment, the son spent years navigating an impossible path. The expectation to carry forward the honky-tonk outlaw persona clashed with the desire to avoid repeating his father's mistakes. For years, he did neither, trapped between admiration and frustration. It wasn't until he discovered the letters his father had left behind, handwritten confessions, raw admissions of fear, regret, and longing, that his perspective shifted. In those words, he saw a man no longer as myth or mistake, but as a human being overwhelmed by fame, addiction, and his own voice. Finding his own voice. In the aftermath, the son began performing again, but not to replicate "take this job and shove it." His songs were personal, stripped-down accounts of addiction, abandonment, and watching a hero collapse. He performed not for recognition, but to claim his own voice, free from the weight of expectation. He revisited venues where his father had once played, smoky bars in Ohio, forgotten clubs in Texas, dive joints in Tennessee, sharing his story honestly. Audiences listened not just for nostalgia, but for the truth of a man coming to terms with his past and carving out his own path. Forgiveness and peace. On the anniversary of his father's death, the son stood by Johnny Paycheck's unassuming grave, holding one of the original letters from the attic. He read it aloud, not for anyone else, but for himself. In that moment of quiet reflection, he whispered, "I forgive you." Through that act, decades of pain and conflict transformed into understanding and acceptance. Johnny Paycheck had left a legacy not just of music, but of lessons learned through love, mistakes, and survival. For the son, the ultimate gift was permission to feel, to hurt, to heal, and to live authentically. The legacy beyond music. The story of Johnny Paycheck's son is not about reproducing hits or chasing fame. It is a journey of reckoning, of embracing both the beauty and the chaos left behind. It shows how a child can grow up in the shadow of a legend and still find a voice of their own. Beyond the music and the public image, this is a tale of forgiveness, resilience, and transformation. It reminds us that legacy is not measured solely in records sold or songs remembered, but in the lives touched, the wounds acknowledged, and the courage to finally tell the truth.